Okay, we're here with Josh Jones, and he's a candidate for governor in California with the Green Party. Josh, what are we doing here today at the state capitol?
Well, right, like you said, I'm Josh Jones. I'm running for governor in 2018. We're here at the state capitol in support of SB562, and there's a hearing inside to help promote SB562. I know a lot of the people are filing in through security. We are also here, we're doing that, and we're collecting signatures in lieu of filing fee to get on the ballot. And also we're here to go to a oil money out pledge that we want one of the assemblymen inside to sign. He's a Republican up in 81, I believe. So might happen.
It's an uphill battle there to get a Republican to sign on to this.
But you know, it's important to push.
Uh-huh.
You can never just say, oh, well, you can't talk to those people because they're not going to agree with me. Actually, the more you show up, the more they sort of have to agree with you, because people tend to go the direction of what the masses around them, the people around them say. Myself, I tend to stick with what I believe in. But, you know, it is possible to sway politicians sometimes. And it's very much worth it. I'm also here in support of the Poor People's Campaign, which dovetails in with single payer, in as much as that is very probably what MLK was shot for. The Poor People's Campaign was a campaign after he was promoting racial equality. He said, all right, if we're going to have a campaign where all people, it's all inclusive, where all people come together, all poor people and people in support of poor people, and we are going, and these were the two basic planks. He said that they wanted to restart the Works program to get everybody to work. That I guess had ended in 1940, and he wanted to restart that. And he also wanted to. So another of the planks is amazing. 500,000 houses built per year until nobody lived in tenements or was on the street. So it's interesting because it goes very much with what I've been saying in my campaign. Government can build housing. There's no reason government can't. Government can have single payer and pay for it. Still go to the same doctors that we, and dentists and eye care and mental health people, doctors that everybody goes to now, or people go to now. But the difference would be how it's paid for, and that we would eliminate insurance companies, because 70% of all healthcare in California is paid for by the government right now. And in a very broad stroke, 30% of healthcare is taken right off the top by insurance companies. So if you think about it, if there are no insurance companies, then a few thousand people would lose a lot of money. They'd have to retire or go into some other business, but everyone would be taken care of. And the job of leaders is to create conditions, create an environment where the people can thrive, right? It's not the job of the leaders to create conditions to extract from the people and make the people desperate and fearful. And that's kind of what we've got right now. It's very extractive, and we all feel it, right? So we have to push back on these things, we have to fix that, and so that's one of the reasons why we're here to support SB562. It is a very good pathway to get single payer.
Yeah, so I always say that if the government's not making the basic human needs of its citizens available, what's the purpose of the government? So if you were to be elected to governor, how would you help these issues like health care and housing and things like that?
Well, in the case of, let's say, particularly SB562, it was stalled, so it passed the Senate. It was stalled in the Assembly. Rendon tabled it. And so it was said that, oh, well, it wasn't assembled. It was hollow, right? Well, that's spurious. That's not true, because bills are supposed to be assembled in the Assembly, right? There were many committees that had pieces to assemble this bill. So when I'm elected governor, I'm going to say, all right, take that off the table, assemble that bill, and send it to my desk. I will sign it immediately. That would be one of the first things I would do, because we need to take care of our people, the people that live in California. People need dental care, eye care, mental health care. And then on the subject of housing, You know, there are different ways you can approach it. It's a very multi-layered. You could one way, the most sort of like what Martin Luther King was saying, is government can go out and build the affordable housing that developers refuse to build. Even when they say they're building affordable housing, they go and they negotiate with municipalities and they pay fines, something like $20,000 or depending on the municipality, per each unit to not have to build affordable housing. And so they want to make a profit, they want to make a buck, and that's their whole goal. So we can't rely upon them to make the housing stock that homeless people who don't have a job and need a place to live, to get them under a roof. And that you can build that in all sorts of ways. You could make tiny house places. You could make high-rise condos. Like I lived in Denmark for about a month, and they build these amazing high-rises that are very pretty. Gardens inside, atrium. You could have community gardens inside, and each flat has a plot. There are all sorts of ways to do it. It doesn't have to be projects.
Gotcha.
You could even make it in such a way that people can buy the flat, so you have an opt-in, and it changes the dynamic. But the government produces it, creates it, right? And the government has civil engineers. They build hospitals and bridges. They can certainly build condos. Another way is to have a public bank with zero interest loans, and that also would allow for building in a slightly different way, but it would be a more affordable way and approachable. Yet another way is to look at the buildings that are already there and are vacant and are in danger of being burnt down or just in disrepair, and the banks will pay people to go out and mow the lawn and try to take care of them. But it seems really ridiculous to me that you have all this housing stock out there, and then you have all these people on the street, and the people who used to pay the mortgage got thrown out, whole families. And in Sacramento here, there were thousands of families living along the river before the police rushed them out. So why wouldn't the banks rent? Okay, they were paying the mortgage. Now they say, okay, your mortgage is over. Why didn't they just have them pay rent? I'm sure they were working and they could have done that. It just, sometimes the government needs to step in and regulate problems when capitalism doesn't have the right answers. And there's even one more that I'm discovering. I've been talking to people about this. It turns out that Airbnb, an unregulated business, is having a lot of people, basically people are buying properties up. There's an area, we just heard in San Francisco, that has no actual residents in it. So it's mostly, it's empty oftentimes, or different units are empty oftentimes because people come there and it's like a hotel. But it doesn't pay any hotel taxes. Whatever, all those taxes that hotels pay, it's a little bit high. It's kind of like taxes have to pay a huge fee to have a shield, like $200,000 a year. And then you have, unregulated businesses, which people use, like Uber and all that. It's not reasonable for them to do a business where basically the house never has a resident in it, and it's empty many times, right? So what you could do is you could say, you have to live there at least half the year. That's one way. You just make a law that says, don't abuse the system. Right? So unregulated capitalism, it gets out of control. An engine without a regulator blows up. Right? There's a regulator inside your engine that makes it so it doesn't overtax. And I kind of like to use that little thing. This is what unfettered capitalism does. It basically destroys itself and everybody around it, everybody in the society. So we need to do that, and those are many ways to address housing as well.
Okay. Hey, I've actually been to many of these SB562 events and taken pictures, and before I knew you, I actually have pictures of you in some of my old, in the background here and there. So you've been an advocate for SB562 for some time.
Yep.
Basically I wanted to just ask you if you wanted to give your website and see if, for people who want to help you with either contributions or help you gather signatures.
Can you see that in your camera?
Sure.
Does that show up? There's the website. It's josh4gov.org. And if you just go /donate, I think you put www in the front, and then joshforgov.org/donate. You can go to that page. Here's a fun thing that one of my people in my campaign created. So it's a seasonal. We thought January, snow. There's no holiday for January.
Yeah.
Right? And so this has all the, maybe you can read some of it, the planks, many of the planks in my platform, you know.
Okay.
Citizens United and single payer and what else? Into mass incarceration, get off of oil, go to sustainable, reduce class size, a lot of things. Yeah. So yes, I have been out here for a very long time. I was in Occupy in 2011. You might remember Pepper Spray University, Davis.
Yes.
I was there, my friends. I wasn't actually at that site. There were two of them. There was the one in town at the Central Park, and then there was one over on campus. But we, interacted with each other.
Sure.
And I heard about it right after. And, I was like, whoa. Because, and I told this to Janet Napolitano. I talked to her on NPR, actually, was the first call. And I said, do you know why? Because that was the big question. Why did this happen? Why? They did a huge report on why the pepper spray incident happened. It's simple. They were asked, they had a sign, and they were like, holding their sign, and they said, please don't raise our tuition. We're going to have to leave school. This is pushing us out of school. And what did they do? They said, get those kids out of here. If you don't shut up, we're going to spray you in the face. I mean, that's essentially, when you boil it down, that's what it was. Pay us or you get sprayed. And so I said that. And then, I said that the UC system, it was formed by the state of California, the University of California. It's supposed to be free, public education, right? And she said, well, what do I do? Go with my handout to the government and ask for money? Because she's the president of the UC system. And I said, well, yeah, why not? Of course. And so right after that, actually, she talked to Brown, the governor, and he, in fact, gave more money to the UC system, right? Now, it didn't make it free. It did stall out the tuition raise, their hikes for a while. I think they're starting to raise them again. But we need to get that in so many more things, because what it does is when you invest in society, like if you have smaller class size, just imagine that your kids are going to 1st through 6th, and they have a class size of 10 students. Imagine that there were only 10 students. Okay, yeah, maybe it sounds preposterous. I don't think so, right? I was the oldest of all my cousins and brothers, and I used to have to take care of 10 kids, and all boys, right? I can't imagine 20 kids. How would you teach them anything? 30? How would you ever teach them anything? It's just going to be social control. It's going to be favoritism. Not because the teacher is bad, but because the teacher can't even humanly concentrate on 30 children, right? It's not possible. So what it does is it creates an environment that where kids aren't really learning behavior properly, and they might not be learning in the years that are so important for them, 1st through 6th. When they really get under their feet, math and reading and all this, that's the time when we need to emphasize. We need to have smaller class sizes. People say that $15 an hour wage is okay now, right? Could be 20. Sometimes people say 20. That used to be preposterous. 10 kids per classroom is an investment in society, just like single payer, just like all these other social infrastructure things that pay massive dividends on the backside, because you don't have as much crime. You don't have as much desperation, right? I would bet that mental health issues would reduce because people are not as afraid and desperate and fighting with each other, because they're able to get where they need to go with transportation, or they can go to the doctor, or they got really solid education with this idea of 10 kids per classroom in 1st through 6th. And that's the first time I've said it on an interview, but I am going to promote that idea.
Okay.
And I think it would just take a little bit more money, which we can pay for by having an oil severance tax, just like Texas and Alaska do, pay education, right? We can also roll back Prop 13 prior to the tax revolt, 1978, and roll it back only on commercial buildings, so that Disneyland isn't paying just hundreds of dollars a year on property tax. when they make tons of money every day with thousands of people coming in paying like $130, you know, they can pay a little more than a few hundred for property tax per year, and all the other commercial buildings. So there are ways to pay for this that are very reasonable, and it's very important to have good social infrastructure so that people can thrive.
Excellent. All right, Josh, thanks a lot. Thanks for running for governor, and I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Excellent.